And yay!
Hey, y'all.
We did it. Happy Thursday, everybody. Okay, so in my best Jeffrey Wright voice, have you ever questioned the nature of your reality? And if you're not a Westworld stan, here go the low regular version, okay? Have you ever looked in the mirror and wondered,
Who am I?
who am I becoming right now in this moment? If you have, don't trip, you're not alone. Life just like, life be life in, and it sort of has a way of like throwing us some curveballs that can really just shake the foundations of who we are, at least who we think we are, our identity, right? But here's the thing, reevaluating who you are isn't just normal, okay? It's essential for growth, personal growth. Shout out to Natasha Rothwell for always teaching us that and the insecure. Anyway, if any of that sounds like any part of your brain that's been talking to you for the past few days,
Or a
weeks,
few years?
months, I was
Your
not going to say
lifetime?
the years, but that tracks. Then you should definitely stick around.
Be
This
real.
episode is for you, baby.
Hi, I'm Pam Williams, a mother.
And I'm Jessica E. Williams, a daughter. And this is a mother and a daughter truthful chat, where we discuss our 35-year multi-layered relationship.
We've been through so many ups and downs. Not only are we family, but we're business partners in the high-stress world of event planning and production for short films.
We've also shared the same therapist for over 10 years. What some people call codependence, we call collaboration.
So join us as we share stories from our lives,
Have candid conversations with other mother-daughter duos,
and shed light on the roller coaster ride of being a woman while raising a woman.
All right, y'all, you know what time it is. There we go. Welcome to Truthful Chats.
If you're very observant, you notice we have our Dallas cups, which means we're in Texas.
We're still on the road, baby.
You can hold them.
We're still in Texas. Anywho, no matter where
What are you
you're
drinking?
joining us, I think this is the turmeric tea.
We are drinking turmeric tea and honey.
I'm on a mission to de-swell my body. So
Surrender
all
these,
things,
this fluffiness. That's what we're going to do.
all things turmeric. Anywho, no matter where you're joining us from, welcome to Truthful Chats. This is designed to engage us on the ongoing practice of creating generational wellness. That's what we're trying to get to. Is generational wellness. You can tell she's been at church. She has with all the amens.
Listen,
We'll
I
get to
won't be
it.
hitting y'all with
We'll
the
get to it.
amens. Just get ready for it.
Anywho, if you've never heard the term generational wellness, but you like, that sounds cute, that's great because we made it up. So somewhere, wherever you're watching this video, in the description box, there is a description of generational wellness, a term that we coined. That if you hear anybody else talking about it and don't have nothing to do with truthful chats, you know what time it is. In the words of the prophet, scrappy, nuck if you buck. Responsibly, but nuck if you buck. So, um, for Create Generational Wellness, the overarching brand that is Create Generational Wellness, we have a theme of the month. Okay.
On the podcast.
Well, we have a theme in general, and Truthful Chats is the weekly podcast series where we unpack the theme of the month that is going on at Create Generational Wellness. Okay, so it's a new month, which is crazy. And we all know what November brings besides turkey and a celebration of genocide, election. Make sure you're registered to vote. Anyway, the theme for October is surrender. And today's chat is surrender. If you clicked on this video, you should know. Surrender to the journey of identity.
So, before we jump into that, the reason I'm feeling so churchy, and because we might be looking a little tired, is we were fortunate enough to go to Women Evolve. Founder.
It is woman. I don't know where the women came from.
Because it was 30,000 women at the thing.
But
that's
the
why
mandate is woman.
Woman Evolve.
But there was 30,000,
over 30,000
40,000 women there.
In the stadium in Arlington. We were blessed
Shout out
to be in the
life.
room.
Shout out to y'all. Thank y'all so much for your hospitality.
Amen. So we want to thank Pastor Sarah Roberts,
SJR, baby.
Evolve team, and anybody that had anything to do with that conference, because it was amazing.
Oh,
It was
wonderful time.
life changing. It was way more than I personally expected. She was really on me to
I
go.
already knew what to expect.
And I was like, yeah, okay, we're going to go. Thank God we were here for a wedding anyway. And
Shout out to the Browns.
congratulations, Erica and Derek, or as I call them today, Eric and Derek. I don't know where that came from. But anyway, shout out to the
Loving
Browns.
the
A
words.
beautiful wedding and then a beautiful
Epic,
conference.
honey.
Um, but so after personally surrendering all the things to Jesus,
Precious Savior.
We were on our face the day after. What day was that? Saturday morning. Pastor Sarah put up a picture. You know that James Brown picture where he's sweating and his hair is all on his
At the mic.
head and everything. She said, "This is how y'all looked after the service on Friday night," because it was. I don't know who Pastor that praying woman was, but that Cheryl Brady preached us crazy.
I believe.
And Pastor T. Renee Glenn prayed the roof down on the Globe Light.
Like an old school church mother.
Listen.
Tasha Cobbler was there. Chandler was there. Chandler Moore for all of the church CCM guys and girlies. And then the woman evolved praise team.
And the dancers.
They're
and
amazing.
Everybody. It was a good time.
It was a good time. And if you know, we work in events, so we appreciate high production value, but also all the things that were going on behind the scenes that people don't know nothing about. So much so at the end of the conference, I recorded the people packing up, okay? Because I said, everybody want to, they love the aesthetics and the ambiance, but who the people that got to clean this up, okay? But it was beautiful. There were things we missed too, like so many photo opportunities and cool things. And I didn't even really want to take photos of all of them. I just love the production value. So shout out to Women Evolve. We'll be there next year.
Yeah. And the theme was surrender. And like we just said, we surrendered a lot of things. And then we were talking about, where are we going for the rest of the year and what? And I said, I think we have to stick with surrender right now, Mom, because we are deep into it on a lot of levels. So,
big facts.
Plan to be here for the month. We're going to talk about surrendering.
Buckle up.
Different things. And it's not a popular word, I know, because it is a spiritual discipline. And don't nobody want to give up nothing.
But let's be CI clear. Most of y'all, when y'all hear that, y'all think surrender to your husband, your man, whatever. That's usually the negative connotation that it has. But this was about not just that, okay, but a bunch of other things. So
we're gonna bring you little bits and snippets.
Bits and pieces, snippets.
Surrender is a natural part not only of spiritual discipline, but anything in your life. If you are trying to move from one point to the next, which we hope you are.
Ideally, if you're still here.
Yes, because there are things that need to change. And in order for things to change, most of the time it requires you surrendering one thing so that you can move on to the next. So if we aim to get well generationally, there's some things that we have probably been holding on to that we need to surrender and move forward. So let's jump in, as they say at church, and hopefully we won't be before you long.
We won't be before you long.
That's our intention.
That's usually a lie, but we actually mean it. Okay.
We on Central Standard.
We on Central Time right now.
Late.
But you are watching this on Pacific Standard Time. So yay for being international and worldwide. Anyway, so in the spirit of church, our anchor text today comes from the hymnal book of Bishop Walt Disney. This particular passage was written by the psalmist of all psalmists, Alan Menken, and Stephen Lawrence Schwartz. We're going to be coming to you from the selection of Pocahontas, hymn 1995, just around the river bend, okay? And shout out to Judy Kuhn for the vocals, okay? And it reads...
Our soloist.
And it reads, because I am not her, okay? So go hit the YouTubes or the Spotify, look up the soundtrack. It's a good time. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to read. What I love most about rivers is you can't step in the same river twice. The water's always changing, always flowing. But people, I guess, can't live like that. We all must pay a price. To be safe, we lose our chance of ever knowing What's around the river bend? Waiting just around the river bend. This is when we invite you to sing the chorus if you know. I look once more
Sing it,
just
Jess.
around the river bend. No, beyond the shore where the gulls fly free. Don't know what for. What I dreamed the day might send
There you go.
just around the riverbed for me, coming for me. There's another verse, but we're gonna skip it, okay?
All right.
Amen and amen.
All right.
Church of Disney Church of God in Christ. Come on, saints.
As she loves so much, as you know.
Shout out to Brandon. Shout out to Brandon.
Yeah. So just like the song states, though, our identity can be the same way. It's not set in stone. It's like a river. It's constantly flowing. It's constantly changing courses. If you go with it as you navigate through life. Think about who you were 5 years ago. Think about who we all were 5 years ago before the pandemic, before the things, before
the
the
things.
things,
The
the
things.
former president, that former president, different,
That
right?
former
All
president.
right. That's because our experiences shape us, they mold us, our beliefs change, and everything. It just kind of flows and ebbs. We know that. And as we go older, let me be real clear, our identity is going to evolve through various stages of life. You start off at childhood, you form your initial sense of self. Adolescent, you start struggling, experimenting with different identities. Early adulthood, we're hoping you're starting to solidify some of those values and goals, settling in. Midlife, we often reassess all of it, just throw it all up in the air, choices and priorities. And then later in life, you kind of start to want to say, what is my legacy? What am I leaving? What is it going to look like when they be standing up there talking about me at the service? What are they going to be saying?
Talking about me.
What was the life that you lived? And hopefully, you kind of know where you are on this journey of identity. And it's like having the cliff notes to a novel or the cheat code to a video game or a trailer that gives away way too much of what the movie is going to be. You can usually see, hopefully, where you're headed on the journey of self identity.
But the part you can't see is all the details, okay, in every one of those stages. I don't know if anybody saw, I don't know how this is coming to me, but Jennifer Jordan, starring Michael Bakari Jordan and Shantae Adams. Sorry, girl. I'm gonna say it more.
Okay.
That's not right. Anywho, great movie directed by the one, the only Denzel Washington. Um, and the character whose name is escaping me, who's the main character that Michael plays, that was the daddy. He was into like pointillism, if you remember, and it's that very meticulous art form where everything is points. And so when you start doing it, it don't really look like nothing at first because it's a bunch of points. And then when you
Pull
step
back.
out, you see like, oh, this is a full picture. And you like, how did you find the time, the energy, and the patience to be able to do that? Okay. So this is sort of like the pointillism idea, if you will.
That's good. I like it.
That all the individual scenarios and experiences and all the things you're going through in those stages and how you get from one stage on to the next one, on to the next one. Shout out to Jay. That's what speeds. Um, it you're missing that part, okay? Because how do you find the courage to interrogate you? Okay. How do you interrogate yourself?
Listen, stop right there. Pause.
Yes.
Selah and calmly think of that.
Think about
How do you find the courage to interrogate yourself? Because most of us have questions for other people, but it takes somebody very courageous to surrender all your thoughts about everybody else, surrender your judgments, and then turn around and just mind your business and ask yourself
mind your
the
business
hard
ministries. Come on, woman.
questions. All right.
How do you own the fact that the you that you've always been, that you're familiar with, that you know, that might not be the real you? Okay. How can you be open?
Or it might have been the real you then, but it's not the real you now.
That's true.
Because hopefully you're evolving.
You're on the way
Boom.
to creating generational wellness. And then how can you be open to not knowing yourself as well as you think you do? Okay. Because that's, we all, some of us feel very solidified and grounded in who we are, but it can be different. And are you willing and available to be surprised by the someone that you've never met that exists inside of you. Okay. These questions really start coming to the surface whenever they're like major life events or major life transitions that help us sort of transform our self identity, whether we really want to or not. So major life events that can promote self reflection might include, and we'll get into these a little bit more deeply in a little while, but bullet points, career pivots, right? Switching industries, starting a business, starting a new job, any of those things. Relocation, moving to a new city or a new country, depending on what your flavor. First of all, that might be all of us
On November 6th.
on November 6th. I'm still working on my escape plans. My friends have been on theirs. This was my idea and I've been slipping, but I'm finna get on it.
You were busy.
Time is of the essence. Okay. Educational milestones, right? So we all probably went through that. Even if you didn't go to college, but matriculating from grade to grade, even if you graduated from high school and started working, like some of your friends might have done higher education, but just that breakdown of pursuing higher education, new school, vocational training, however, whatever floats your boat. Okay. Health changes. So overcoming any sort of physical ailments. I'm gonna throw mental ailments in there, emotional ailments in there.
That's good.
You know, anything that's gonna require you to adapt into a new lifestyle. People that have children with special needs, spouses that might have special needs, or they start to develop more and more over time, and you like, oh, okay, I ain't know. And that ties into the last one, which is relationship dynamics. Okay. Entering or exiting any sort of significant partnership.
Shifting, changes in
Shifting.
the
So
partnerships.
yeah, you becoming a different person over time. That happens in marriages a lot and should be happening. Um, hopefully for the better, not for the detriment. And then, even business partnerships, coworkers, pick a thing, okay? Relationships be shifting. They be changing.
Listen, one of the biggest ones is becoming a parent. I can tell you that from firsthand experience. It's like being handed a new book of life, one you have never seen before, one you don't know nothing about. I don't care how much you think you know, you heard, you read, you studied. There is nothing like becoming a parent.
Yes.
Suddenly, it's not just about you anymore. You are someone's mom and dad, and they are going to be looking to you for the rest of your life.
Can't imagine. Shout out to
Rest of your life. Because even though, like we're talking about right now, the identity of that relationship is going to shift over the years, you can never not be their parent. You can never not be their mom. Now, what that relationship looks like varies from person to person, you know, some good, some bad, some very ugly.
Good,
but the reality is that part of your identity cannot change. And so that can either be really exhilarating or it can be really terrifying.
Depending on
I remember, when Jess was born, some of you know this story. Jess was born 3 months early. So she weighed 1 pound and 13 ounces when she was born, which was terrifying in and of itself. So I became that mom. You want to talk about tiger, a helicopter, name all the things, but you are going to protect my baby at all costs. And I have pretty much been that way the rest of my life and the rest of her life.
Or worse.
For better or worse. Yes, for better or worse. I don't care what you say about it.
Okay.
But it took me 3 months to be able to hold Jessica because she was in an incubator all that time. So I could only stroke her hand or put my finger in and rub her little hand, which was about this big. But your priorities, what's important to you, your daily routines, what is your purpose? How are you going to live the rest of your life functioning in this new role and this identity? And then, there are career changes. I got laid off in 2019. And then right after that was the pandemic. So that was a whole different, I've been doing the same job for over 20 years. So, and intended to keep doing it in another facet in 2020, but then the world shut down. So that was a change. My identity had a lot to do with my work, unfortunately. And a lot of people are in that place where what you do also becomes a part of your identity and who you are. And when that's no longer the case, you have
Who
an
are you?
identity shift and you have to figure out who I am apart from that job, which is why, you see a lot of people in that part we were talking about with the midlife crisis, where you see people get to that part, that midlife thing, and then kind of go, oh, what am I doing? I've been on this rat race. I've been doing this. This is going to kill me. I cannot continue. Who am I? What do I want to do? Whether you're forced to think about it because the job situation changes, because your health changes, because your passion is just not for that. You have a passion for something else, and it has absolutely nothing to do with what you're doing every day. So it makes you crazy. So it forces you to reconsider who you are in the working world, which is what, I had to do. And I had always had a part time business, even when I was working full time in corporate America. But now that part time business becomes my full time business. And so making the shift and changing that identity from part time business to full time business is now, again, an identity shift for me. And some of it I am still working out. I'll be first to tell you that. So you have to increase your self awareness, like what things worked for you in your past life and what things are you bringing over into this new place in your identity. Um, and if you have the courage to ask yourself those questions, hopefully you will get to the place where you can answer them honestly and see where you need to go next in terms of your personal growth. Because challenging your identity is going to push you out of your comfort zone. Like Jess said, it's who you thought you were all these years, all this time, and now something, someone, some things have changed, and you're not that person anymore. You can't be that person anymore. So, what is it going to look like? Are you going to align your work with your personal values? Can lead to a greater sense of fulfillment, but it can also lead to a greater sense of stress and frustration if you can't line your work with what your passion is. Align your work with what your passion is. If you just got to keep working at that job because you got, a gazillion million bills to pay and this and that and whatever. And so,
But you hate it.
You hate it. That's going to affect your identity. That's going to affect the way that you see yourself. You may think of yourself as a courageous person and, I'm the boss. I do what I want. I'm independent. I'm this, that, and the other. But that might not be your reality, the nature of your reality. And so it is a big thing for people in midlife. We've seen it over and over again. We heard a woman telling an amazing story about, she was a big boss in LA and it was killing her.
Big
And she had to just drop everything and leave. Did she say she went to Costa Rica and changed her entire life? That takes a lot of courage.
Baby, she's engaged now.
Yep, which you never thought she would do.
And then they were talking about this was a particular panel that was a co-ed panel. This was a women's conference, if you hadn't guessed. So this was a co-ed panel, but they were talking to women specifically who are mothers and wives, maybe both or one or the other, whatever, however it goes. But just the priority of having to be at home sometime and not moving career wise the way that you want to be moving because you're committed to being at home with your family, whether that's you and your husband or your husband and your kids, or if your husband is off and you're working, or if your husband stays home and you're the primary, whatever your
lot of muddled identities in that.
Yes, and a lot of things to work through, communicate about, doing all those things, but also realizing that sometimes God might have you in that place for a reason, or you have to say no to that thing because this thing is actually more important in the grand scheme of things, even if it would be a cool opportunity. So they're really just trying to encourage everybody through that transition, but also encourage women to be like, if you got to be home, you got to be home sometimes.
And what does that mean in terms of surrender? Because it is a surrender.
And it could be the same for your spouse. It depends on how you set it up. Sometimes your husband might have to say, no, who is that? It's some couple we know that they say, it might be Kevin, Melissa. Uh, they call marriage, and that's like they caveat for whatever you personally want to do outside. And it might have been from a TV show. I don't remember. But it depends. It depends on. I forgot who it was. But they call marriage. It might be Adrian and Roger. I mean Roger and Adrian. I don't know, somebody. But they call marriage to be like,
that trumps everything.
You gotta shut it down for the sake of the family because it's more important than said thing. You know what I mean?
And
But that can build up bitterness and resentment. So you got to really communicate well so you don't have no problems. Don't know why we got off on that tangent, but as my first lady would say, I feel that for somebody.
And then, we're always trying to get you to reevaluate because things are going to change. And if you are stuck, if you are one of those kind of people that said you made a decree 20 years ago and you're still in that place with that same degree, I venture to say that's a problem. I venture life has changed, times have changed, people have changed, the world has changed. You cannot stay in the same place. You have to learn how to reevaluate and evolve and get to a more genuine expression of who you are for right now, which doesn't mean that will always be, doesn't mean it was in the past, but what is it for you now that you can get to that kind of authentic
That's
place?
called authenticity. Authenticity.
Yeah. And when you can look at where you are and shift into a lifestyle that might feel a little different, you might have to, like Jess said, do some things that you didn't think you were going to do, shift some stuff around, but you start to discover that this is lining up with the identity of where I want to be right now, right? Adapting to new identities, like we said, takes a lot of courage, takes a lot of mental strength, a lot of toughness, a lot of flexibility, and it has to because it's really, really hard work. Navigating identity changes really builds your emotional strength and adaptability, and a little emotional intelligence goes a long way.
Those kinds of things.
In getting to the point where you're changing identities. You because you have to navigate it not with just yourself, but with the people you're in connection with. And so
because things don't just affect you.
You might be really excited about all the changes that you're making, but it might be messing up everybody else's reality. So then now that becomes
not even messing up, just adjusting. Things have to adjust, not just for you, but other people. And you have to take that into consideration.
I am at my big brother's house, who is hilarious. We can tell you many stories.
Should have been a comedian.
But one of the things he said last night was he's talking to my niece and talking to us about a situation. He said, listen, at some point in time, you have to decide between thee and me. And if
between what?
Thee and me.
Oh, thee.
THEE and me. You have to decide, is what I need right now the best thing for me, which will ultimately be the best thing for y'all in a minute, but it might not feel that way in this particular moment. And so, you have to surrender that. You have to, for me, I know sometimes I have to surrender the desire to take care of everybody else and make sure everybody else is okay and fix everything. But
especially every Black woman.
Yeah, that you have to surrender that at some point in time to be healthy and to find out who you really are and what God's purpose is for your particular life.
And all of that takes a long, strong amount of resilience. Okay, you gotta be able to flex, bend, don't break. But you got to be able to maneuver around those things and articulate yourself well to those around you, so you have improved and better relationships. You're not just up and changing and acting like everybody better get with it or get left. But I'm like, not if you actually care about the people you're in a solid relationship with them. Like, you know what I mean? Y'all gotta like work together on that thing. Okay?
And as you understand yourself better, then you hopefully can connect more deeply with others and have the conversations that bring about healing and growth where necessary. Because the conversations about the healing, listen, the healing, the healing, the healing.
It's all about the healing.
It's all about the healing. I know y'all don't want to talk about it sometimes or think about it because it means peeling a scab off of something that you put a scab over so that you don't have to think about it and you don't have to heal. But if you're going to grow and if you are going to help the generations before you and the generations after you to grow,
and the culture,
which is what Create Generational Wellness is all about, you're going to have to look at that thing and you are going to have those hard conversations. It's just what it is.
And I don't want you to be scared, okay? It sounds like a lot, okay? Because it is. I'm not I'm not gonna lie to you. You know, we don't sugarcoat over here. We keep it a buck, okay? But we're also very practical, okay? So this is what we talking about is hard. It's difficult, okay? It was hard for us. This was 3 days we was doing of surrendering. Every day,
Child,
something else to be like,
surrender that.
surrender this. Did you think about surrendering that? And then God will wake you up in the night and be like, hey, what's this? Or at lunch. Or just when you get in a space where sometimes you're too busy to hear God talk to you, but when you in a specified designated place where that's all you're supposed to do, you'd be surprised. Your little 5 minute, 10 minute devotional in the morning where you have sleep might not be getting it. But 72 hours of you specifically just listening to God, he'll have tons and tons of things to say to you. Okay.
Yes, indeed.
Um, Listen, surrendering to something new,
And that was a surrender. Let's be real clear.
to surrender our time for 72 hours.
Surrender our time for 72
And the money.
hours and the finances and the whatever to focus on. And listen, God performed a miracle because a month ago I was like, we cannot afford this. And then God did a thing. So
Thank you for the discount, Woman Evolve team. We really appreciated it.
that and just come through, come through, come through, guys. So it was really
God took care of all the things she was concerned about, which is what I be trying to tell her all the time. But you know, everybody got to learn their own level.
I'm trying to learn how to surrender my anxiety and my worry and my alpha, all that. But it is a surrender, and it's not always smooth sailing, and some you just it, marriage be hard. What's that thing? Marriage.
Yeah, shout out to Kevin Melissa. Great book.
Surrender be hard. I'm telling you.
Yeah, because even if you're surrendering to something new, something better overall, it ultimately is gonna be for your good. Okay, that's what we believe. That's a little Christian sprinkle, but no matter what you believe in, we hope you have enough hope and optimism based on whatever you believe in to believe that whatever you surrender into is gonna ultimately be for your good on the other side of it. However, the get into the other side to the better and the new and the improved. Doesn't necessarily, even though you know that conceptually, like you're not there yet. So in the moment of actually having to surrender a thing, give up a thing, move something around, do something different, it's a little challenging. Okay. And some of the feelings that you might experience as that happens, okay, uncertainty and anxiety, that's literally what we just describing in terms of the uncertainty. You know it's for your good. You know it's gonna ultimately be something great, but you're not at that part yet. So the anxiousness that you feel is because questioning your identity, questioning the nature of your reality, can really be destabilizing.
And your beliefs,
Literally.
things you've been told since you were a child. Your grandmama told you, your big mama, your great great grandmama told you this. It is unsettling to say, was Big Mama wrong? You know what I'm saying? That
You're
is
usurping
hard
the
for
authority
some people.
figures in your life. And not out of disrespect, just out of, I don't know if that works for me anymore. And you
Yeah.
have to know that you have permission. You only got, well, we believe you live again. But for those of y'all that are on the YOLO, no shout outs to Aubrey there. Um, it's your one shot. So you gotta decide what gels with you and what doesn't. And that's really most of the time all we're really trying to give you permission to be able to do on this here show. The second thing is resistance from others, right? Social pressure. Um, People in your life will be having feelings, okay? They're going to struggle to accept some of the changes that you're making for you to better you, right? And at the same time, society might not always understand or support said evolution. Okay. We see that a lot. I want to say the most in sexual identity, but there's some, shout out to y'all. But there's some other places I'm sure that I probably can think. Some of y'all is the racism. Some of y'all, shout out to our white brother and sister, and your family been thinking the same crazy stuff for a very, very long time.
Listen.
And you woke now and they not. And so shout out to y'all. Some of y'all have lived with misogynists and patriarchal green goblins your whole life that done said and did crazy things. On the flip side, some of y'all done live with some man-hating women for your whole existence, and they be saying and doing crazy stuff. So if you come in with a new narrative or some other stories or some learning you got, they might not be with it, but you can withstand that. Next, self-doubt, right? So you gonna question whether you're making the right decision. It's easier to not rock the boat, right? I feel like we probably talked about these in some other episodes, but go back. You got to just be hunkered down in your conviction and keep it going, right? Decision fatigue. When you be doing self identity adjustments,
Lord.
it's a lot of decisions.
Oh,
okay.
Lord.
And the process of redefining yourself leads to a lot of choices. Numerous,
Oh my
numerous
God, I remember when
choices on choices on choices. And you don't know if you're making the right one. And you don't know if people are rocking with you. So sometimes these things can be compounded, right? Um, imposter syndrome, right?
Wait, I want to go back to decision fatigue for just one minute.
You live in decision fatigue, though.
Thank you.
So,
But I remember when I majored in psychology in college. I mean, I minored in psychology.
sorry for all this scratching, y'all. It's hot in this room, and we
Yeah.
like the sweat and
Yeah.
all the things. So,
And we're in Texas. You always think there's a bug, whether there is one
Texas.
or not. But anyway, the decision fatigue thing. My major was economics. My minor was psychology, and I remember I can still, when you said that, the decision fatigue, I can remember reading all these things and thinking to myself, this is what I have been feeling my life long, that there was another way, there's another way to go about thinking about things. But in my family at that time, nobody, nowhere, anywhere, was talking about your feelings, your emotions, any of that. It just wasn't important. So to be in college now and learning about all this and trying to explain to people, that the reason you do that is because this and this and this and this, and then trying to understand it and how to talk about it and what's the best way to approach it and who can you tell and who can you discuss. It is exhausting. It is exhausting. And I can tell you all, for most of you having these kind of discussions in your greater family, you might be in your family that lives in your house. If you have, as parents, have started to train your children in this way, that's going to be one thing. But when y'all go to the family reunion and your child comes up and is trying to tell you how they feel, or trying to tell an adult, what their view of what is going on is, them old people don't want to hear that.
Not be ready for it.
They ain't gonna tell your child to sit down, shut up, not be so precocious, or
who they think they talking to.
Who
Really,
they think
what
they
they gonna say?
precocious turns into who
Precocious
they
is a
think they
big
talking to. But and so your child's identity, we have heard stories of many people whose childhood identity was damaged by a grandmother or a great grandmother or whatever. So again, once you start to learn these things, the fatigue that you may feel around how
It's
to
real.
approach it, how to tell people about it, how to explain it, is couldn't be problematic. All right.
Next up is imposter syndrome. I think we're all relatively familiar with this, but embracing any kind of new identity. I think we always think of imposter syndrome when it comes to career, which applies. But it's really just if you feeling like you inauthentic, and especially if it's something you've been practicing, or a sort of like back to Westworld, like a cornerstone of your identity or a cornerstone of your core programming as a person. Um, and you start to try to move in a different way or dress a certain way, or your personality change, anything, it could just start to feel really authentic, which can make you feel like, ah. And then the last thing you may feel, which is what we talked extensively about at Woman Evolve, and why we needed Jesus and why we needed to pray and constantly hear sermons. Um, it's because of the grief.
A lot of grief.
The grief involved in
which I had never really thought about.
Oh, I think about it all the time.
Yeah, the grief involved in your identity shifting.
All the time.
Yeah.
Because you're letting go of old parts of yourself, things that you might have cherished. Like I said, if they're core cornerstone things, if you really feel like this is going to completely shift the dynamic of your family or your marriage or your relationship with your kids or your big mama or your mom or your dad or whoever.
But that if you
maybe
don't,
God,
if you don't do something about it, you're going to die. You feel like that. You're not going to die, but the suffocation of it, the challenge of it, the pain of it, the all that can make you feel like, I either have to do this or I'm going to die. That girl said it on the panel. She said at her job,
No, she was literally going to die.
She said God told her, you have to get out of LA or you are going to die. You cannot keep doing it.
And she said what I thought was brilliant. And a few people said, especially people who worked in the corporate space, right? And they had really worked really hard to get there. Um, but still talked about climbing that mountain of success and still feeling very unfulfilled. Was that at some point God had to like arrest some of those people and be like, I have bigger plans for you than just working in corporate America. Like corporate America is the pinnacle for some or that particular industry. But like I think a few people said essentially God had to tell them like, I'm interested in your longevity here on this planet. Like this is just a little job. Like I know what it means and it's exciting, but if it's,
and if that's how you have identified yourself, I'm that boss.
And Americans love that.
I'm that,
Corporate has its downsides. But anyway, the grief involved in any sort of surrendering is really, really, really real. I'm trying to think. There's so many things that came up for for us individually about that. Of course, everything is drawing a blank for me now.
I have my journal, which I will be as the month goes on. Just because I haven't had time to go through and make a whole bunch of notes. I know you spent a lot of time doing that yesterday.
I did.
But trust me, you're gonna be hearing like nuggets, gems and nuggets all in here that we will be.
I mean, I definitely have to say I've had to at least career wise surrender. I've always thought of myself as a multi hyphenate, right?
In terms of the creative
creative industry.
So for those of you who might not know what that means, talk a little bit more about it.
So usually if you're in entertainment, like people want you to focus on one lane, right? Like you are a producer, you are an actor, you are a writer, or you are a tap dancer. I don't know where that came from, but like they want you to focus on one lane. And so if you've ever heard my story talking about creatively, right? My father's an actor. I started as a writer. I didn't want to be an actor because that was sort of his lane. Ended up acting, right? Was doing that for a while and then just decided to get involved in a lot of other things because a lot of times with acting, you are waiting on somebody to give you a job. Everything is gig based though in entertainment, period. But like that's literally something where you could send out 9,200 audition tapes and never hear anything from anybody, but you still got to pay bills and do stuff. And so being the child of a creative person and watching that and seeing my mom be the breadwinner in some places, and I just was like, I just want a little bit more control, right, of my career. So I started to learn how to do a lot of other things. That being said, everybody's trying to pull me back in the acting sphere and the acting space.
But he's really, really good.
That's what they all say. But yes, thank you. I appreciate it. But I have sort of like shut that out of my mind. So as it's like, how many confirmations does God need to give you that you need to be back in the space? So I know I had to surrender my thing of being like,
I don't want to do that.
I don't want to do that anymore. We off that. So I am calibrating my brain, and I'm very big about like everybody can think it's a great idea to do it, but I'm like, if God don't tell me it's time for me to do it, I'm not gonna do it. So I'm surrendering that and laying that down, and we'll see what that turns into. But just that's one of my things, one of the less
that's a good one.
Sensitive things.
Listen, reevaluating your identity is an act of self-discovery. It's about, like we said, having the bravery to ask, who am I becoming? And remembering that you're one of one. There's nobody else like you. God didn't make anybody else the same way that he made you. So you are really one of one. And we did a couple of episodes on that. If you want to go back and look, we did,
because that's one of our core tenets
of creating generational wealth. You're one of one. So go back to episode 66, go back to episode 62, where we had Dr. Jason Plunkett on, a therapist, to talk about that.
Let's episode 62 was us just talking, us to unpacking what
it meant.
Your one of one means. And then we had Dr. Jason Plunkett come episode 66 to unpack it even more from a licensed professional standpoint. So Truthful Chat 62 just for us, and then Truthful Chat 66 for us talking to Dr. Plunkett.
All right, so we've said it before. Your identity is not a destination, it's a journey. It's going to bring new opportunities. You're going to grow. You're going to discover. You're going to be mad. You're going to cry. You're going to look like that James Brown meme. You are going to have to embrace the changes, learn from the challenges, celebrate the person you are, celebrate some of the stuff you got going on, and then just be honest enough to say some of this just ain't working and I need
Some
to
of
get
it
rid
ain't
of.
working, honey.
And
cry about it and feel your feelings.
and feel your feelings. Jess, when we were talking about it though, you came up with 3 really great points that I thought were practical steps to keep in mind about kind of steps on the journey of this process.
Yeah, when you've been spending designated time with God, then he just be dropping stuff on you. And even that, even if you just been going through, but you still tuned in, he'll drop some things on you.
Tapped.
If you're tapped in and you're paying attention. Okay. So yeah, so some of this is informed by my spiritual beliefs. So just know that. But I hope that no matter what you believe, it can still be helpful. So the journey of identity in my mind pretty much breaks down into like 3 stages. So I look at the first one being uncovering. So if we just take the idea that I believe we're all created in the image of God, right? We all reflect him in some way. And the 3 people that make up the Trinity, I'm not trying to be theologically deep, just know there's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Okay. God, Jesus, and the Spirit of God. And so I think that in that creation of us individually, there are some things that are just put inside of us that are uniquely and especially are ours that God gave to us. And so I think a lot of living life when it comes to identity is discovering those things internally. I used to have, and the example I use for this is I used to want to be I want to be a paleontologist when I was younger. That just is a fancy word for saying I want to be the person that digs out the dinosaur bones. Not an archaeologist. Archaeologists dig out old pots and lifestyle artifacts and things from people that used to live a long time ago. I want to do the dinosaurs after I had seen in Jurassic Park.
No, Land Before Time 35 times.
Okay, well, yeah. I love the dinosaurs, but Jurassic Park was when I was like, oh my God, they can dig up dinosaur bones. I finally realized it was called paleontology. And I was going to stick with it until my mother bought me a Jurassic Park kit. And it was literally something where you could actually practice digging out dinosaur bones. Like they have put it in this sediment. And you have to brush it and blow. And you have to be careful so you don't crack it or mess it up. Now, mind you, this ain't real dinosaur bones. This was just a kit. They want to give you the feel. A junior paleontologist. Good thing I did it though, because I really found out I did not have the patience for all of that, and so I let it go. So anyway, I think of those things that I feel like God has uniquely put inside of us in take some creation. Gentle brushing, take some gentle brushing, some excavating, gentle chipping away. Okay, those are the things that are inside of us already equipped, fully loaded. We just gotta do the unwrapping. Okay. 2 is just discovery, right? You are discovering things like we were saying in those earlier stages from childhood to adolescence to adulthood to midlife on out. Okay. Which is just the normal progression of how you are developing as a person, as you're discovering things about yourself that you didn't know was there, all of those things, right? And some of those things are internal and some of those things are external. So like, internally you might figure out I figured out I didn't love paleontology, right? But I really love the arts. Externally, I found out I don't do snakes. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever those things are. You also found out you don't love acting. You really love directing. You know what I mean? Do you think that's external? I love stories, period. So I think that it's not really that I don't love acting. I enjoy acting. I think I don't need it in some of the ways that I see other people need it that are that's good stars and popular people and doing it consistently. Like some people feel like if they don't express themselves, they're gonna die. If they don't hear the applause. I have a lot of other outlets to express myself. Also, the way that I needed acting when I was younger is not necessarily the way that I need acting now. So I'm in a discovery process actually to figure out what role and relationship I have to acting now in this particular phase of my life. When I was younger, I needed it because I was very quiet and I couldn't express myself all the time. And I'd always have the language.
That is
and
not
I didn't
the
have other things.
problem now.
That's not the problem now.
Let me be clear.
Okay, it's not. They know. They know what they're dealing with. I go to therapy. I say whatever. You know what I'm saying? I try to taper what I say to be kind. I try. It doesn't work for everyone, but I do. Anyway, I don't need acting in the same way that I used to need it. So now I'm trying to discover my new relationship to it. Okay. And then there are number 3 is recovering. So
That's where I am.
Say that those, and that is a blend, I think, of um the things that you're uncovering in yourself that I feel like God put there from the beginning, right? That you realize at some point either got lost or you stopped believing in them or they got stolen from you by something or something someone said or somebody, right? Life circumstances
stopped you from pursuing that.
So but somewhere in the surrendering to the process of your identity or those things coming back up or being resurrected in you or being like, oh my God, I really did used to love to sing before my auntie told me I sounded like a dying toad and then that stopped me from singing. But you have like the most bomb voice. You know what I'm saying? So
and your auntie was jealous because
she was a hater. But that's her story. That ain't your story. But once you realize those things, right? Then you go, oh, that's mine, something an inherent thing that God gave me as a gift that I put away for somebody else. So that's what I would um, classify as something that was uncovered in and discovered that but got discarded for whatever reason, right? And so now
not God discarded, it got discarded.
Yes, not God discarded. It got discarded by someone else or by for yourself. You was just like, I don't really care about that much. It's not that important to me. And then you realize that it is.
I think that I discovered that at the conference, that there's some things that I have let go that I'm like, oh no, you deserve that. It's rightfully yours and it's part of my identity and I need to get it back.
And you're willing to go toe to toe and fight with whoever. Whenever.
Watch out.
Okay. Whether you believe in Lucifer, the enemy, your own self, your family members, the negative self talking in your head, whatever said things are. So those are 3 ways I think about identity: uncovering, discovering, or recovering. Okay. I mean, essentially, the journey to identity is really just like peeling back all the layers of family expectations, societal expectations, and really being like, I am one of one. I am authentically myself in this way or these ways. And
there may be some things I have to surrender so that everybody's clear about that. But that's where I'm on my way to get to there.
So I can be that. Couple pro tips for the road. Just be patient with yourself as you are reevaluating your identity. We say it all the time. The things take time. Okay. This ain't like you gonna watch this now and then everything is gonna magically. This isn't a Disney movie, even though I know we started in the text. But things take time. Okay. Seek support. We say it all the time. Just connect with the people who are on similar paths to you. Okay.
Listen, it was really, really cool that we had kind of, my niece and I are kind of in the same generation, but I'm a little bit older than she is. So I was there. I'm almost 70. She just crossed into 60s, and then Jess was there. So it was 3 generations, kind of, very different of our family at this conference. And the things we got from each other and from being at the conference together was really bomb. It was really awesome.
So highly recommend we try to take a group of 10 with us next year. Next year.
It's gonna let us know if you want to go.
And hey, Shotty, now we got to know you. We're not gonna be traveling with strangers, but we'll say what's up at the conference if you see us. 2 more pro tips. Journal. Okay.
I got a fresh one.
Do it on your phone. I don't know where my phone is, but
yeah, all her notes are on her phone.
Yeah, I was typing fast and furious. But journal your experiences, document your growth, reflect on it later, take a lot of copious notes, take inventory of your reactions to things, or if you like, I'm gonna take a pottery class and you forgot that you used to really be great at pottery. You know what I mean? Like, how did that make you feel? Like, just start to document all things, okay?
I'm gonna learn how to tap dance.
Okay. Or record yourself. Do some little videos. Beyonce showed us that you could do that. She done recorded her whole life and made several movies out of it. So do what you feel like you got to do. And lastly, celebrate the small victories. Okay, just don't think everything needs to happen all at once. I know we want instant, we want quick. I'm guilty of it myself. I'm not trying to act like I'm out here being perfect. Okay, so every step forward is some progress. Like I say, you gotta take baby steps. Gotta take baby steps. Your identity is really a living and breathing aspect of who you are. It's ready to grow and change as much as you are ready to grow and change. So just embrace the evolution, evolve, baby. Um, because as you're reevaluating your identity, which again takes on different forms, at different times, depending on what's happening with you. You aren't just discovering who you are, right? You're actively creating who you want to become, which is an ongoing process. Again, that's not like a one and done. Okay. You're gonna be becoming, shout out to first, that's Michelle Obama. For putting that out into the general culture is you're always becoming. And as Dr. Emma Thompson, who is a psychologist specializing in identity development, particularly in adolescence, says those who actively engage in identity reevaluation tend to report higher values of life satisfaction and a stronger sense of purpose.
So reevaluation. That means you're not just going to evaluate one time. You're going to evaluate, and then you're going to evaluate
Keep it
again,
going.
and then you're going to evaluate again because
Keep
you're
it
going
going.
to learn something. Every round goes higher and higher, as the old people used to sing.
I was gonna say can't stop, won't stop, but
Yeah, no, we off that. Anyway, you can't tell us those things aren't included in your benefits package of creating generational wellness. You need it all to
satisfaction,
be able to
great purpose.
get to those places. So let's recap real quick. Back to Pocahontas.
Okay.
Our identity flows and changes like the river.
The river, just around the river bend.
It evolves over our lifetime. It's important to recognize what stage we're in, what stage we're going into. Everybody's identity journey is unique. Whatever you learn about yourself, don't be trying to put it on nobody else. That's for you and you alone.
For your
You are
own soul
one
salvation.
of one. You're one of one. Mind your business, drink your water.
Period.
And major life transitions play a major part in shaping this. So you can't just go through, your mom died, you got a divorce, you got a new job, you moved across country, you got new friends, you got whatever all the things are, those are opportunities that are going to shift your identity a little bit. They're going to change you a little bit. And it's an opportunity to learn more about yourself, but don't lose yourself in these times. Like I know a lot of people when they're going through a lot of stuff, they're just like, I can't think about that now. I can't think about that now. I got to do this. I got to do that or whatever. No, try, try,
try.
in the present
Jonathan
of the things that are going on to think about it, be mindful about it, be intentional about understanding what is happening. Okay. It's going to turn out fine, but there's some steps that will help it turn out finer. All right.
Fine. Ooh,
listen, in this transitional period, you're going to increase your self awareness. You're going to experience some personal growth. You're going to become more authentic. You're going to become more resilient, and you're going to improve your relationships. It just follows. It's kind of like a recipe. If you do one, the next one go.
Don't skip the
steps. The next one comes, and then the next one comes. Don't be afraid of the challenges and the feelings associated with your identity journey. You're going to feel some stuff. It is going to be very uncomfortable. You're going to be crying. You're going to have a little anxiety. You're going to feel some resistance.
You're going to be like, forget everybody. I'm me, and they can just go somewhere.
That's not how you get from point A to point B. So call us. Let us know if you're having trouble. Let me know. It is courageous. I keep wanting to tell you that. I want to big you up for having the courage to even think about this, to listen to this all the way through, because it is not hard to talk about your identity. Okay. It's not hard to talk about surrendering your identity. Yeah, it is. It is very hard to talk about your identity. It's very hard to talk about surrendering your identity, about changing, admitting that your identity is changing. Some people know their identity is changing. They just don't want to tell nobody.
Don't tell nobody.
That's like your sister. There's certain songs my bonus daughter likes.
Nobody I like that song.
I really like that song, but don't tell nobody because it don't go with my image. You know what I mean? It'll be some sappy song.
But if that's authentically her, the people should know.
But it's authentically her. So be proud of your bravery. Keep the tips in mind we just gave you about uncovering, discovering, and recovering. Let us know in the chat. Send us an email, whatever. Where do you think you are? Are you uncovering? Are you discovering? Are you recovering? And hopefully this will help you to stay motivated to move to the next step. And be patient. As the old people say, God is not through with me yet. Please be patient with yourself, okay? And get the support you need from the others. Do the journaling, do the praying, do the sitting quietly with God, letting Him show you and tell you which way you need to go. And you're going to get there. We're going to get there together.
And be a woman evolved 2025.
Sarah's not paying us for this.
Sarah's not paying us for this. This is just a free promotion.
It really was
a life-changing experience.
More than I personally thought.
I don't know what she was thinking. Actually, we did see this girl. She said, I thought Woman Evolved was just like a place for the stands of Sarah Jakes Roberts. And I was like, girl, 3 days worth of just Sarah doing what? I'm like, nah, girl. She's committed to the
very powerful
of the Lord. And so is that whole Jakes Roberts clan. So thank y'all. Salute. Anywho, thank y'all so much. We were before you longer than we anticipated. But hey, we on the road, baby. Things got to be done. Bills got to be paid. We got to give this knowledge, this information. So we're gonna be on surrender for the rest of the month.
Yep.
We're gonna be splitting our cities. Pammy will be here in Texas for a little while longer. I will be going back to LA next week.
No, you're going to LA Saturday.
Next week.
Okay.
Anyway.
Oh yes, you are. I forgot.
Go ahead next week. Anywho, so yeah, with that, whatever we're gonna be talking about, you ain't gonna know. If you are not subscribed on the YouTube channel, follow us on IG, Facebook, fan base. We are at Create Generational Wellness on all the platforms. As I continue to say every week, we're going through marketing strategy, marketing clinic triage. So we have not been posting the things, but we will because we want to roll this out right. Okay, we're almost at 100 episodes, so we're about to do a huge push for this thing. So we need y'all support. Y'all love all the things, and to spread it on the socials once it's out. Anyway, with that, we'll bid you adieu. Have a wonderful night. And
happy Thursday, happy October.
Happy October.
All you pumpkin latte spice people, I know y'all happy.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure me and my friends are going to be carving pumpkins.
Listen, I am in Texas, and they have pecan drinks down here. So
I could be into that.
I'm going to have a pecan drink. Yes, I'm going to have, that's what I'm being said today, because she does have an allergy. But I'm going to have a pecan oatmeal latte.
Where have we been that we ain't on the pecan?
Listen, we're going to have one tomorrow.
Do they have sweet potato drinks too?
I haven't seen that, but I have, the pecan is coming. We will report if it's good or bad.
All right.
All right.
And happy birthday to all the October babies. Be careful though. Strange things be happening in October. Just keep your head on the swivel. Okay.
Amen.
All right. With that, y'all have a good night. Bye.
Love y'all.